If you're not a nerd for cars, especially Japanese cars, it's time to walk away from this video. If you check out as a car freak, then you're welcome to stick along for the rest of the video. We're going to tackle the October results. I know November is almost over, but October results just came in for production, sales across the globe for Japanese automakers and exports as well. So not only do we have Toyota for every region, we have Nissan we're going to tackle, we have Honda, we have Mazda, and we have Subaru. Okay, we don't get Suzuki here. Otherwise, I would throw them in the basket as well. So if you guys are excited to cover like where these brands are succeeding, where they're failing, as we come to the end of this calendar year of 2025, hit that like button. I'd really appreciate that. And shall we get into Toyota first? I mean, Toyota is the largest automaker in the world. You guys watch more Toyota content on the channel than any other manufacturer, and it's not even close. All right, so let's start with the smorgasbord of what you guys enjoy the very most, and that is Toyota. So we're going to make my face pretty much as small as I possibly can, and let's focus on the numbers. So for the month of October, Toyota was up 2% throughout the world. They said they were strong in North America. Well, we know that. They were up like 10, 11%. They're strong in China. So, there it is. There's that 12% I mentioned. All right. The United States up 11.8%. Canada up 14%. Mexico up 30%. Toyota's growing fast in Mexico. Now, look, it's only 12,000 sales. About, what, a 20th of what they sell in the United States, but still impressive nonetheless. This year, because the TX and the Grand Highlander are not on stop sale, those are, full production on those models contributing to a big surge this year. Well, that makes sense to me. Latin America, Toyota is down almost 30%. Brazil down almost 60%. Argentina, we know in South America that traditional automakers are struggling against the Chinese automakers. Simple as that. Europe, this is a very difficult place for any foreign automaker to succeed because of the strength of the European automakers like BMW, Mercedes, obviously Volkswagen, and that's just the German ones. Those are the big ones that we see in the United States. There's a lot of manufacturers as well that are successful in Spain. You have Skoda, things like that, all right, throughout Europe. So UK, it's down 6%. France down 4%. Italy down 6%. Germany down 8%. Spain down 1%. Where are they succeeding? All the major markets in Europe are down for Toyota. Okay, but for some reason, outside of those major individual markets, they sold 48,000. But you look at these numbers here, and they're down quite a bit. Well, besides Spain, they're a little bit up in Spain. All right, but 48,000 units for the remainder of Europe, and they're doing quite well. All right, let me know, because I do have a lot of viewers in Europe. So if you guys are seeing in your country big demand for Toyota and Lexus, whether it's Netherlands or Belgium or, Sweden or something like that, Norway, if you guys are seeing big uptake in those areas, let me know. But like, obviously the big countries or the big markets there aren't really favorable for Toyota right now. And I wonder if it's not just Toyota, it's a lot of other automakers. I wonder if the auto market is down in general in Europe. All right, they're kind of like at a wash, Toyota in Asia. Okay, it is what it is. It's not a bad thing because Asia is so hyper competitive right now due to the Chinese autos, not only in China, but the Chinese autos have expanded and exported, especially into Southeast Asia at this point. Okay, so down 6% in China. They're saying that the BZ3X is helping them out in China. It's like a $15,000 electric RAV4 sort of vehicle. Indonesia down 13%. Yikes. Thailand up 21%. In Thailand, they make the Hilux, and they also make, I think, the Land Cruiser, the upcoming Land Cruiser FJ, but also the Hilux Champ. All right. So Thailand has always been a strong market for Toyota, and that looks to be the case. I can't believe Indonesia. Look how many they sell in Indonesia. Now, it's nowhere close to what they sell in China. Look at that, 160,000 units in China alone for the month of October. How does that compare to the United States? well, 207,000 units. Okay. So Toyota is more dependent on the United States than they are in China. Okay. And that's a good thing, for at least for Toyota, because, well, China's a tough market in the United States. Obviously, it's tough here, but they're making a lot of money on the North American market. That is for sure. In China, even though their sales are good, they're probably losing money to stay competitive. Toyota strong in Philippines, falling in Taiwan, strong in Malaysia, up in Pakistan, but Pakistan's only sold 4,500 units, very small market. Vietnam down 10%. Vietnam is a pretty hostile market right now due to their EV policies. Honda's upset about Vietnam because they're not allowing gas motorbikes in the main cities like Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City. So that is screwed Honda motorbikes a lot, Vietnam's EV policy. But Vietnam's EV policy is largely directed, I would say, and influenced by VinFast. So it is what it is. All right. Politics. Republic of Korea. So South Korea here, they've only sold 2,000 units. Good luck infiltrating and succeeding in that market, right? Because the Korean automakers there have, that's their home base. India up 37%. So making some good growth in India. India is a huge market, has lots of potential. We should continue to see growth for Toyota here, but it is a drop in the bucket compared to what Suzuki sells in India. All right. We're seeing India turn into a manufacturing base for Japan. And from there, they export not only vehicles back to Japan, but also to Europe. All right. So India is like the new China. Or if you look at the United States, India is the new Mexico. All right. Affordable labor, favorable policies for them to produce a lot of vehicles there and export them throughout the world for lower prices and undercut the competition. How's Toyota doing in Japan? Well, not great. Down 4% on the month of October. Oceania, they're up 10%. Middle East, they're about neutral. And Africa, they're up 15%. Now, check this out. Look at all the production as well. They have Toyota and Lexus just hit a worldwide record for production. That is insane. A record high for the month of October, producing 926,000 units, almost 927,000. If we look at production by region, all right, this is a little bit more, it hits home a little bit better here because we can focus on North America. North America production, well, in general, outside Japan, it's up 5.5%, but North America, it's up 10%. Sorry, my dog's barking outside. Hold on. I saved him from his own doing. He wrapped himself around like 8 trees out there. Yeah, so production on the US side, Canadian side, it's up. Mexican side up 31%. What do they make in Mexico? They make the Tacoma down there. So they're pumping out Tacomas, and this makes sense because sales for Tacomas are at record pace this year to sell more Tacomas than they've ever sold before. It's crazy. I don't see that many Tacomas on the road, all right? I see tons of Camrys everywhere, tons of RAV4s. All right, but the sort of volume they're pushing with the Tacoma is fascinating. And my theory is that they're selling a lot of fleet Tacomas, but no, I have no data on that. All right, how many of those are actually fleet sales to rental car companies, to businesses, things like that. Latin America production down 3.5%, Europe down 4.5%, Asia up 6%. I guess that's good to see, but it's probably... If we go to China, all right, China production's actually up here, 8.5%. Pakistan production up 65%. Vietnam production down low. India production up 4%. And look how much they're making in India now. You see this? 338,000 units for 2025. Now, China's 1.2 million, so they make a lot more there. But it's just letting you know that India is continuing to grow for Toyota production. All right. Taiwan production. I had no idea Toyota made vehicles in Taiwan. That's crazy. And they've made a lot, over 100,000. Malaysia, 70,000 production. Thailand is their second biggest hub outside of China for now. Eventually, I think India could very well take that crown. All right, or second place crown anyways. But Thailand's up 4%. okay, on the year. And then Indonesia also building 222,000, just a ton. I'm going to go past exports and we're going to focus on sales of Lexus real quick. I used to sell for Lexus. Lexus is very near and dear to my heart. So I always want to see how they are doing around the world. It looks good, honestly, up 5% globally. Inside of Japan, down almost 2%. Now, this is for cumulative 2025. If you look at sales inside of Japan for the month of October, they're up 21%. So they're heading in the right direction in Japan. Global or sales outside of Japan, they're up 5.9% on the year, 4% on the month of October. North America, Lexus is just crushing it. Look at these sales. Now, there is a point in time where the Chinese market was tracking and growing so fast for Lexus that they should have been outselling Lexus at this point in time in China than they are in the United States, for example. But that is not the case. We look at the North American sales here, and it's just 330,000 units here so far in 2025 versus less than 200,000 units in Asia. All right, so Lexus, they're still doing okay in Asia, but they've kind of flatlined. Where in North America, they're still growing. Remember, Lexus had the best year ever in the month of the year of 2024, and they're pacing past that here in the year of 2025. It's insane. Them and BMW are going to be duking it out for first place for the luxury sales crown. Well, Mercedes, I made a video on Mercedes this week. Mercedes has fallen quite far behind BMW and Lexus in terms of sales, and it doesn't look like they're going to claw back that market share anytime soon, Mercedes here in North America. Latin America, Lexus, they hardly sell any. 400 units for the month of October. They're up, though, double digits. Europe, oh my gosh, this dip. Now, Europe is up 2% on the year, but look, for the month of October, they're down 12%. I don't know what's happening there. My guess is that it could be due to their electric car sales. The RZ, there are like no RZs out on the market. That's Lexus' only electric vehicle. I know that they might have the UX still, the UX electric, but it's not competitive. All right. So minus 12.5%. I think that's largely due to their lack of availability for the RZ, because the RZ got refreshed, new motors and new inverters, new technology, and those just haven't hit the market yet in volume. So I think that's what's going on there. Overall in Asia, about flatline, 1% to 2% up. Oceania, such small volume, doesn't matter that much. All right, but I would guess Oceania includes Australia here. So up 10% on the year, but down 2% on the month. Middle East, about a wash on the year. Africa, up 21%. I sold a few Lexus GXs, maybe an LX2 to exporters that would send used, but they're pretty much new, but like certified Lexus SUVs to Africa. But overall, they're up on the year for total sales in Europe. If we go back to right here, 3.5% up as just October took a dip. All right. And my theory that it was RZ was not correct because their electric sales, well, it could be. Maybe they're selling more UX EVs. I'm not quite sure. Anyways, China down 5% in the month of October for full BEVs, but up 13.5% on the year. North America, it's about a wash on EVs, and it's up 21% on the year, but October was a wash. We'll see how BEV adoption continues. I will be driving in the early part of next year the new BZ Woodland and probably the CHR at the same time. Those EVs are interesting for sure, and because of them, their EV sales could go up here in the United States. But with no EV tax credit and these things being very expensive and having a very small market to sell to stateside, I'm not quite sure about the success of those, the coupe crossover CHR EV as well as the wagon EV, the BZ Woodland. BZ Woodland looks amazing to me though. All right, so sales of electrified vehicles here, it's a bit tricky because they don't give us a breakdown of certain areas based off hybrid, mild hybrid, or PHEV. Or fuel cell. All right, it just says inside Japan, outside Japan, worldwide. So it's a bit difficult to sift through why like Europe was down so much. Now, if you look at Europe, it's up 3.5% on electrified vehicles. That includes hybrids. I am almost positive their EVs were down though. Battery electrics were down, but I can't say without a shadow of a doubt. All right. So if we look at hybrid though, where's the strength of hybrid? Well, hybrid was down in the month of October, up on the year 10% though. Okay, keep in mind it's going to keep growing. It's only a matter of time before Toyota's almost 100% electric, at least for the Western countries like Europe and the United States. We're so close. Like now that the RAV4 is fully electrified, once that volume gets up there, I mean, what's the next? We know the Corolla's going hybrid. I don't know if it's going to standard hybrid, but we know that the new Corolla is going to be built as a hybrid here in the United States in the Mississippi plant. Fascinating how hybrid sales are down on the month, but way up on the year. Mild hybrid, this is a joke. Toyota hardly makes any of them. Plug-in hybrid, this is fascinating because plug-in hybrid should be taking off here in the United States starting in 2026 because of the new battery plant in North Carolina. So not only does that North Carolina battery plant supply tons of hybrid batteries, but also plug-in hybrid and BEV batteries. There are no BEVs as of yet being built in the United States. It might not happen until the very end of 26 or sometime in 2027 with the new Highlander EV and the derivatives of Subaru and Lexus based off of that thing, as well as maybe the Land Cruiser SE and the Lexus version of that too. It may be a fully electric pickup truck, even though I kind of explained how that's been scrapped at this point. All right, so there will be EV production here in the United States, but I think there could be a growing demand in plug-in hybrids for Toyota. Toyota does plug-in hybrid really, really well. Great electric power, great electric range, and then the efficiency in hybrid mode after electrification range has run out of the battery, or you could say fully electric range has run out of the battery. It's super efficient still. All right, and that's what a lot of the competition struggles with. If you look at the new Nissan / Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid, the Rogue plug-in hybrid, it's good when it has electric juice. When it runs out of electric juice, it's really inefficient. You think of it as like a range extender. All right, the engine does not clutch into the wheels at all. And certain plug-in hybrids like Mitsubishi's, but Lexus and Toyota's is really good at both being a plug-in hybrid EV and a plug-in hybrid. Hopefully that makes sense. Worldwide sales of plug-in hybrid up 22%. Inside of Japan, down. Doesn't surprise me. All right, outside of Japan, up 26% on the year, but down on the month. We're going to switch gears. Lexus and Toyota are just burning red hot. Production records, they're still growing in most markets, it seems. Now, October seemed to be a bit of a funny month. We'll see if that continues into December. And as we close out the calendar year, we saw a lot of segments down single digits throughout the world for the month of October for Toyota, but their production is scalding hot. Now, what about Nissan? Nissan's on the struggle bus. Look at all this red. You don't want to see red if you're Nissan. However, Nissan is trimming their sales in order to be more profitable. All right. In the past, they've just focused on volume, sell as much fleet as you can. But I made videos in the past. If you have so much volume and you can't sell it to customers, then you end up selling to fleet, then it destroys the residual value. Then it really hurts the new car market as well, because you can get gently used cars for really low prices. So they're cutting back on that. All right. And a lot of this red is what we see here. Sales by region. Japan, down on the year. Oh, that's fiscal year to date. January. We're going to focus on calendar year to date, not fiscal year. So if we look at Japan, down 14%. But if you look at Nissan here in the United States, I know it's kind of confusing, but these three things are all in the United States. Nissan's actually up calendar year to date in the United States. That is a bit of a miracle. Infiniti is down. No surprise. Infiniti is down because they just have two cars, the QX60 and the QX80. Only one of them is good in the QX80. So as a result, Nissan's okay here in the United States right now. That is quite surprising. Canada's up, Mexico's up, Europe's down, China's down. No surprise in China. It's just a bloodbath for most Japanese automakers there still. If we look at production here, US is still down. Despite tariffs, it's still down. All right, so they are still racking down production to reduce incentives to avoid selling excess production volume to fleet. All right, that's my theory. And what I want to do here is go to the United States tab and focus on which models are doing well. Now, we got an update at the end of September, at the end of the third quarter. So let's get into the month of October for the United States. This is quite exciting. The Versa up 31%. People need more affordable cars, really fuel efficient. The Versa is doing quite well. All right, to see that sort of surge. Sentra is about neutral. The new Sentra's out. I will be driving it this week, so stay tuned for that. Ultima down 17%. Maxima, rest in peace. Z's up 100%. Now, there are good deals out there in the Z. The Z has doubled up its sales. It's one of my favorite cars of 2025. GTR, rest in peace. So sad. Leaf, there's issues with the new Leaf. The new Leaf, the production is very limited. I don't even know. I'm going to look real quick if there's any Leafs out there right now, because what's coming out of Japan is like they don't have battery production for the Leaf. They kind of botched the launch of the Leaf due to the lack of battery availability. All right, and it looks like they're probably all in transit. The only ones on the ground are old ones. So that is bonkers that the Leaf still isn't out, and I feel like I drove that like 4 months ago at this point. So crazy how they've completely botched the launch of the Leaf. Frontier down 9%. Still my favorite midsize pickup truck. Pathfinder, wow, up 25%. You know, this is a huge volume seller. They're potentially pacing over 100K this year, and it is good to see that the Pathfinder, which retains an amazing V6, a silky smooth 9-speed auto as well. Pathfinder is a really good car for the money. Crazy deals to be had on Pathfinders. Nissan Kicks, one of my favorite subcompact crossovers. It's roomy. It looks good. It gets great fuel economy. It handles well. It's just a really solid car for the low 20s. And the Kicks deserves all of this success. And imagine if they had an e-Power, so they can actually sell this thing successfully to $30,000, maybe even a little over $30,000 with, let's say, 45 miles per gallon. That would be amazing. But e-Power probably is not coming on the Kicks for a long time, maybe by the end of the decade. Murano sales are up, but you got to keep in mind this is the first full year that the Murano has been on sale with the redesign, first redesign in a decade or so. They're losing money on the Murano. In fact, remember, they killed any refresh coming for the Murano. Murano's probably dead in the water, and it's crazy because it just launched. They have high production volume, but low interest in the Murano. All right. In the Murano, I downgraded this year. I said it was a good buy initially, but after driving it more and more, it's completely neutered due to emissions and fuel economy, that there's like no response in the throttle. It can be a bit dangerous sometimes. It doesn't, like, the transmission is fighting you. It's like a stubborn mule. Okay. The Rogue down 14%. This is their biggest volume seller, 178,000 units. The Rogue will be getting a redesign soon, e-Power coming soon. And when I say soon, I mean a year from now. It's not soon enough. Once it gets hybrid power, it's going to help sales, but can the Rogue have enough hybrids out there on the market? They'll have to bring some in from Japan. Hopefully you can get production up on the Rogue hybrid here in the United States, because the hybrid market's red hot. All I'll say is I'll be driving an e-Power vehicle very soon. I don't want to say anything more than that because it might be under embargo. All right. And I'm not talking about the Versa Note. So no, the Note Aura. Sorry, the Note Aura Nismo that I drove in Japan. No, I'll be driving a more modern third gen e-Power very soon. All right, Armada, gotta love it. This is great to see it up, even though it's up small, 2% for the Armada. I love the Armada. It's one of my, it's S tier. It's one of the best body and frame SUVs on the market. Titan, rest in peace. Oh, here's the new Leaf. Holy cow. Old Leaf is here, and then they put the new Leaf all the way down here. They've only sold 79 new Leafs. All right, that's more than the 16 in October for the old Leaf. So yeah, there's just none out there. Aria, rest in peace here in the United States. It canceled it. Infinity It's going to be ugly. What's the QX? QX60 though is up. QX80 is up. So this is interesting to see. QX60 needs the V6 back in there. The Pathfinder kept the V6. There's no reason the luxury counterpart can't have the V6 as well. The QX60 is absolutely a fantastic vehicle, but it's flawed majorly now because it has the 4-cylinder VC turbo in it. And they took out the V6 for fuel economy reasons. So dumb, so stupid. Makes me so angry. All right, QX80 though, up 30%. Also a fantastic vehicle. But I'd probably just take the Armada and save a lot of money. I don't know if you guys want to see Europe much, but Nissan's only down 5% in Europe. In China, they are down 5%. So actually not that bad. Look at that volume in China, 524,000 for the calendar year so far in China. So 524, you look at Europe, it is 283. You look at the United States, outselling the Chinese market. That wasn't always the case. I'm pretty sure that the Chinese market was equal to, if not outselling the US market at some point. Okay, but yeah, over 700,000 units versus China's 500,000 units. Okay, fascinating. Honda. Now, Honda typically doesn't have as much information here compared to the other brands we just talked about, but we'll tackle it. So production in main regions here, North America, it's up. Well, it's down 3%, right? 97%, down 3%. USA down about 6%. Asia down 18%, with China being down 17%. Oh man, this is tough. This is tough to see, and I don't know what's going to change things for Honda. Now, why could they be down? Well, as I tackled earlier this week or maybe this month, is that we had the Nexperia chip shortage, and that's been hurting Honda. Okay, so that makes sense globally. It's not just hurting Honda in the United States. I guarantee it's hurting Honda elsewhere, but Honda is just struggling a lot in China, regardless of chip shortage or not. All right, Japanese market, Honda down about 10% total. Should I say 7% total? Registrations are down 11%, and many vehicles are down about 2 to 3%. Exports from Japan. All right, so it has gone up in the United States because of the Prelude. All right, that makes sense. So year over year, their Japanese exports have gone up, but it's really small. Honda's exports from Japan is really, really small. Only 9,000 for the month of October. I want to go back to Honda, like a Nissan. Exports from Japan, month of October. Oh my gosh, look at that huge drop. Oh, that's North America. So we'll look at exports from Japan. Total is 29,000. Okay, 29,000 to Honda's. Again, Honda's 9,000 exports from Japan. We go to Toyota from Japan, and it is 198,000. 198,000. Toyota is a manufacturing powerhouse in Japan. They still send a ton of cars worldwide, and their exports from Japan this year is up almost 10%. When you look at Nissan, their exports from Japan are down 28%. And you look at Honda, and their exports from Japan is actually up 5%, probably due to the Prelude. Simple as that. All right, so not that much information from Honda. We're going to keep moving to Mazda here. Also pretty scant with details. Mazda domestic production up 1% for the month of October, down 5% on the year. Why are they down? Probably tariffs. Okay, overseas production down 15%. Why? Well, tariffs. I'm pretty sure they're really reducing production volume from Mexico. So overall, Mazda's down in production about 5% globally. So domestic production for the CX-5 is up 17% year over year. That means in Japan. Okay, Mazda 3 up 11% year over year, and Mazda CX-30. So the irony is CX-30 and Mazda 3 sales are in the gutter for Mazda in the United States. Most of that is because they're reducing exports from Mexico of those two models into the United States, where they build them down in Mexico due to tariffs. I think it's actually cheaper for them seemingly to bring them in from Japan than it is Mexico. All right, so probably shipping most of the Mexican production of the CX-30 and the Mazda 3 to Canada and other markets. Overseas production, well, up 5%, the CX-50, all right, for the month of October. And look, there's a CX-30, down 37% on the year. Where? Well, mainly in that Mexico plant. Mazda 2 up 46% on the year. We don't get that vehicle anymore. Mazda 2 still might be made down in Mexico. Global sales for Mazda, they're doing well in Japan, up 8% on the calendar year so far, but had a terrible month of October. Look at the United States, down 32%. Probably the worst tally we've seen from all Japanese automakers for the month of October. Mazda going cold. And as a result of that terrible month, and probably the month before that, they're now down on the year versus last year's record-breaking year. China down 15% on the year. They had a neutral month. Europe down 12% on the year and down 7% on the month. Not looking good. Other markets, though, up on the year but down on the month. And overseas volume in general is down on the year and down 15% on the month due to that terrible month of October in the United States for Mazda. So in total, Mazda is going to close the year out in the negative versus last year's record-breaking year. October was bad. November is probably going to be bad. And who knows about December. All right. So rough for Mazda. It looked promising for the first half of this year, and then tariffs just threw a wrench into everything for them. We'll finish with Subaru here. Subaru was doing strong post 2021, I would say. And then this year, their market has really slowed to a crawl in the United States anyways. So domestic production for Subaru down 1 to 2%. Overseas production down 10%. Global production down 5%. And we don't really have anything else. Okay. You could say Japanese sales we could talk about that, but they sell far more vehicles in the United States than in Japan. So there's not a lot here to deduct from this. All right. So I'll see you guys in the comments. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more nerdy stuff like this. I leave this week, actually in just a few days, for a big Nissan event. So I'll have some cool Nissan things to share, a lot of Nissan things to share, honestly. A lot of driving, a lot of first impressions, maybe some reveals, stuff like that. All right. And when I mean reveals, it might be more like strategy reveals. I'm not quite sure. All right. So stay tuned. Heading to Nashville once again this week, where Nissan has their headquarters in North America. And maybe I'll see Ivan Espinosa again, their new CEO. If you missed my interview with Nissan at the Japan Mobility Show with their new CEO, Ivan Espinosa, check that out. All right. That was amazing to be able to sit down with him and ask him about what is going on with Nissan. I didn't get to Infinity. I didn't have enough time. All right. So, if I ever get more time with him, I'll ask him about Infinity because, well, we also want Infinity as well as Nissan to succeed. Thank you guys. Have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one, and I'll catch you in the comments. Peace out.